Welcome back to the channel. My name is Robert Dailey, and this is Dailey Woodworks. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Vevor 13-inch dual-speed thickness planer that you can get on Amazon.com. Full disclosure, I did receive this for free. They did reach out to me, wanted me to send me this and the rolling stool I'm sitting on. I'll do a video over that later. And wanted me to do, a review on it to see what I thought. So here's that review. I tested this product out by making a cedar tabletop. Now, cedar isn't the most hard wood to plane or work, but I did have some, maple oak that I ran through it just to kind of see what it did. And overall, the planer performs just fine. There's nothing that's like, oh no, this thing doesn't have enough power or anything like that. There's a few things that I'm not a huge fan of, and some things I think are really interesting features that you might want. So the first thing is the scale is in inch and metric, but the inches only are in eighths of an inch. My other planer, which is the rigid 13-inch planer, goes to 30 seconds on its inch measurements, but it does have metric as well, and so you can get to a millimeter and very easily split a millimeter. So that's just what measuring system are you used to measuring in. I was raised on Freedom units. That's what I think in, so that's what I prefer to use, but it's getting easier and easier for me to switch back and forth between metric and Freedom units just to, do what I need to do. It does have dual speeds. What I noticed with the dual speeds is that on a hardwood, you want it in the slow speed or the fine speed. On the cedar, I was able to run it through pretty big, like about a 2x8 chunk of cedar. Run it through on the fast, and it did fine. It does leave a little bit of chatter mark, and I have a little bit of B-roll that I'll insert to kind of show some of that chatter mark. But it was nothing that wouldn't sand out very quickly with like 120 grit. But for my uses, I don't really see the need for a dual speed planer. The fast isn't going to do fast enough to really save you much time because it doesn't like make it more powerful. Just get me a clean, smooth cut in the amount of time it takes to make that clean, smooth cut. Apparently it's time to go to the park. Hold on. Right. So my rigid planer is what I have to measure this against. I've had that thing 8-9 years at this point. I don't know. Pretty much from the beginning of this channel. It doesn't have the dual speed, and it kind of like, if it's an easy piece of wood, it just kind of goes faster. If it's a hard piece of wood, it kind of goes slower. Like, it kind of just does its speed. So I don't really see the need for two speeds there. And the adjustment is fine. It's about the 16th per rotation. All I have to compare this to is the rigid one I have. And I used the DeWalt one that belongs to my father-in-law a few times, but it's been a while. The rigid locks the adjustment. So as you're using this thing, it didn't really happen, but you might start to get a little bit of creep from vibration one way or the other. It didn't really walk on me when I was doing that, but I feel like over time it would. This is apparently to adjust the blades. I haven't really dove into that part. Again, on the rigid, the blades just index themselves, and it's not an issue to do. So I don't know why you need the little gauge to set them up for. It does take the same standard blades as anything else. I do like that it has 3 blades. I think that is a benefit over 2, because you're taking smaller bites each time instead of a big chop, chop, chop. You're doing chop, 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 chop. On the back, you'd have a dust port. I put a couple pieces of tape around it just so it fit my hose better. We have to do that with half-over stuff anyway. Again, that's not a dig or a knock or anything like that. If you're not using this, chips go everywhere and it very quickly clogs this up. And then chips just kind of go everywhere. If you do use it and you're kind of taking, I was doing about 10-inch wide boards with this, taking pretty good passes, and handled it fine. Handled it completely fine. But this did clog up a few times on me, even with dust collection. So again, that's just the difference. I think the DeWalt one that my father-in-law has, and then the original one I have, has like an impeller built into it that just shoots the chips, and they shoot hard enough where they'll hurt you if you're in the way. So combine that with the dust collector, and you really don't even have to turn the dust collector on because it's going to shoot the chips through for you. Cool things about it, it's got little rollers right here and right here on the top. The rollers here, I don't know, I'm kind of ambivalent on. I think it's a cool feature, but I don't think it really adds anything over a good steel plate that's there. However, the rollers up here on the top, I did like, because if you're like me, I'm running boards through. I'm going to lift them up, roll them back over. My rigid one's missing paint from how often I've rolled stuff over, so these little rollers on top, I think is a neat little addition here. I think that's... Someone thought through and was like, hey, it would be really nice to have rollers here. So a woodworker was involved with this and somehow, and that's, you know, some tools you get, and a woodworker has never even been consulted on, you know, how to do it. Or what this is about. So, you know, a woodworker did have some input on this, so I do appreciate that. Now the question is, should you buy it? And that's where I'm a little about. This is about $360 on Amazon. So I was looking around to see kind of what other planers are in that $350-ish, $360 price range. You have Win. You know, I saw like a Ryobi, the Harbor Freight brand. I think it's Vevor right now. In that price range, if I would say that's your bottom end, your low end planer. I would say if you're in that price range, this is going to be a good hard look for you. You should definitely consider it. However, I would definitely, like, my rigid one is now retailing for right at $500. So about $140 more than this guy. And I think it's a lot better planer. I think it's worth I think you're getting your money's worth for the extra $150. You know, it's held up great to not being treated very nicely. It cuts through everything. It has little presets, so if you're doing like 3/4 material, you can set the hard stop at 3/4, dial down and hit the stop, so you can just do repeat cuts really easy. I love that feature. It's very easy to be precise down to the 32nd, and then, you know, split that to really get what you need thickness wise. A warranty is only as good as the company behind it that's willing to back it up, which is kind of my concern with this. Is if you need parts for this, if something breaks and you need something for it, will you be able to get that? I don't know. I can't answer that question. If you need customer support, are you going to get that? You know, I've been on the phone with, you know, customer support for different things because I have a lot of tools. I use these professionally. I break stuff, you know. So I've talked to Grizzly. I've talked to Rigid. I've talked to Fez Tool because I've broken Fez tools. I've talked to Mirka because I've broken Mirkas. You know, I've broken a lot of my tools that I use. I've broken Rigids. And, you know, like, sometimes, especially on the lower end tools, customer service is kind of hard and not in existence. To sum everything up, and this is what's really hard about this as, you know, a guy that likes really nice tools but also likes really good value for stuff, is where does this fall for the average hobbyist woodworker? And I think if you're just a hobbyist and you're just wanting to get a thickness planer and not spend that much money, that's fine. I would say if you're more serious about this, or you just want the better tool, spend that little bit of extra money. Spend that $150, maybe even $200 more. I think you're getting a lot more value for your money at that price point. Of course, you know, you can spend, you know, $30,000 on like a big industrial thickness planer too. I mean, that's your choice. But if you're looking at the at that lowest end price point, I think this is worth considering. However, I do worry about if and when something breaks, are you going to be able to get those parts for it? Is this a brand that's going to stick around? Those are my concerns. So, thanks for watching this video all the way through. It's a little bit rambly because it's not the easiest review to do, because it's not a tool that I hate. It's not a tool that I'm like, this is the most wonderful thing ever. It's just kind of a decent tool. So, like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, and we'll see you on the next video, which will be a build video that I'm going to do a new set of plans for dog crates. It's time to update those plans, and you can check that out coming soon.